Camille Natalie, thank you so, so much for joining me and a hugely warm welcome to Thrive Solo. I'm so happy to have you here. Now, before we get into our conversation, can you just tell our listeners a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So, hi everyone. I am Camille and I live here in Miami. I'm originally from the Caribbean, but I've been in the US for, I guess, most of my adult life now. Right now, I am a full-time content creator mixed in with also a social media strategist. So, I help people mostly with Instagram, helping them build their strategy towards growing on Instagram. Yes,
Oh my God, I could do with your help with that. I
I'd be happy
really,
to.
I really could. Anyway, it's not about me. Can I just say, by the way, I'm so jealous of you living in Miami. Anyone who listens to this podcast will know about my obsession with the States. I love America and I've been many, many times and traveled
Okay.
around quite extensively. And I have been to Miami.
Okay.
Yeah, I went with a friend of mine. Well, it was actually part of a road trip. We flew into Memphis. We went basically from Memphis, we went Nashville, Smoky Mountains. Then we went across to like North Carolina, South Carolina, down
Oh,
to
wow.
Savannah, and then all the way down from Savannah to Miami. So I
Wow.
know Miami a little bit, but
Okay.
I've obviously only seen, because we were literally there for like 2 nights. So we only saw
Okay,
the kind
yeah.
of, Miami Beach.
Right.
Whereabouts do you live in Miami?
So funny, interesting enough, I do live in Miami Beach. I live particularly in South Beach, which for
Wow.
locals here, people like, oh, South Beach, that's so touristy and everything. And for people who don't know, including locals, they usually only know the touristy parts like Ocean Drive, Collins Avenue, but the locals who live here, we know the spots. I live in a very quiet area. I mean, I could be walking at night. I feel totally safe as a single woman.
Really?
So yeah, that's where I live.
And do you love living there?
I love living here.
I
It's
bet.
just very calm. It's very, again, minus the tourist areas, but where I live and where I go, it's very chill, very peacey people, rollerblading. They're all about their health. Yeah, it's just a very chill vibe. When I go to downtown Miami or off Miami Beach, you just feel the difference, like the more hustle and bustle and
Yeah,
horns are blowing more and everything. It's just very different to yeah, what you would
absolutely.
typically think of. Sometimes I bring friends who have a stereotype about this area, and they're like, "This is South Beach," and I'm like, "Yeah." But anyway,
I love it. And actually, so I'm going off on a complete tangent now, but I'm fascinated. Whereabouts in the Caribbean are you from, and when did you move to the States? I'm intrigued to know.
yes. So I am from Montserrat, which is a British colony actually, and my mom is Jamaican. So I was born and raised in Montserrat. I came here when I was 19. That year was gonna turn 19. So yeah, I mean, I've been here for a while at my
Wow.
tender age of 44.
Wow.
But yeah, so yeah, born and raised there.
Amazing. I'm so boring compared to you. Like it's just shocking. I mean, I want to have had a Jamaican mum and grown up in Montserrat and then moved to the States at the age of 19. Anywho,
I mean, we love the UK as well. I mean, I love your accents. I mean, you also make everything sound so good. You could be saying whatever and it's like, wow,
see,
yeah.
I feel the exact opposite. I'm like the other way around, totally. So it always cracks me up when people who live in the States are like, "Oh my God, I love your accent." I'm like, "Really?" Because I think I sound like a loser and I think you sound really fucking cool. But
No,
anyway.
no, no. Even the sayings, expressions, and everything. I mean, where I'm from in Montserrat, there's certain things that I grew up saying that is similar to the UK or British language. But, like growing up, we might have said flat versus apartment and give me a lift
Uh,
versus give me a ride like Americans. And
yeah.
even the spellings. So even with my mom, when we were talking about getting a basil plant, and I'm not going to get into this for too long, but just the pronunciation. So I say basil, and then she's saying basil, and I'm like, no, it's basil. Anyway,
Yeah. Tomato, tomato. Let's
exactly.
call the whole thing off. Well, thank you for telling us a little bit about your background and all of that. I find it so, so interesting. And quite frankly, I could talk to you about this all night, but we won't, don't worry. Can you start by telling me a little bit about your journey in terms of being single? Like you said, you are single, you are 44.
Yes.
I'd love to know how you've come to be single and how
Yeah.
long you've been single. Tell me a little bit about that.
Great question. So let's see. So a lot of my friends, quite frankly, would say, wow, in a way that I'm chronically single in a way. Although I have had my long-term relationships and I was married once. That did not last long either, though. That lasted just under 2 years. It started off well, but then, I just saw certain things with him once we got married and I realized just wasn't going to be a good match. And then quite frankly, I think that experience, because I guess I trust myself in terms of picking a partner, and I guess I felt like I did a bad job doing that.
We've all
And
been
as
there.
a result, yeah. And I think for many years, I mean, and therapy, I honestly, before then, like it was very difficult, I felt, to connect with someone. And then it's very interesting thinking about where I am now versus most of my life. And most of my life was that person, that hopeless romantic, which I'm sure it's still there. But I really wanted to be in a relationship. Like I wanted, I saw that as my identity. And so I definitely dated quite a bit, met different people. But at the same time, I wasn't quick to jump in a relationship either. Like I could literally go like a year or 2 years when I was actually in a relationship, but I still liked meeting people. So but then I want to say that there was a change which for many people happened, which is around the pandemic, which also coincided with me moving into my 40s, where it just kind of made me slow down and kind of think about who I am, what's important to me, and just kind of gave me a chance to really get to know myself better and
Mm,
quite frankly love myself in a way that I didn't before. And that drastically changed my outlook because before, now as you follow me on my page, I mean, I'm very celebratory of, being single and enjoying my time, enjoying the little things, all that stuff. But before, I was that person that needed to always be going out or going on a date and whatever. And then as I was reading your book as well, something kind of went off with my head where I was like, oh, that's interesting in terms of the parts of the book where you talked about singleness kind of thing and introverts.
mm.
Because before I did not really identify as a introvert. I would actually say more ambivert if you've heard of that, where
Yeah.
yeah, like I enjoy my time home, but quite frankly, before I would actually get drained by just being home. I would like, oh my God, I need to be around people, even if it's just them walking around. So I guess before I got externally validated, but now, you know, ending my what I'm saying here is now I think it's much easier for me to be single because now I get all my validation for myself. So basically, honestly, I have not been dating much. I've been very, very single. And I don't feel like something is missing. Not to say I'm not open to something, right? But I just, in comparison to before, where I would want to talk to my friends about, oh my God, da, da, da. No, that's not me anymore. To answer your question.
Isn't it funny how this can change? I resonate so much with what you say. I absolutely used to be that girl. It was all about the bloke. Who did I fancy? Who
Yes,
was I going out
yes,
with? But there was always
yes,
there was always a guy on the scene, whether I was
yes,
with someone or
yes,
whether I just had a crush on someone or whatever it was.
yes.
I just want to pick up on what you said about self-validation,
Okay.
because this is something that is so incredibly important, not just for single women or single people in general, but for humans. As humans, we should be able to validate ourselves. And whilst, of
Mhm.
course, it's lovely to get external validation from friends and,
Oh,
partners
yeah.
and family and whoever else, ultimately, the most important kind of validation is the one that comes from ourselves. Talk
Yes.
to me a little bit more about that. What does that look like for you?
So I guess partially from spending more time with myself, I think
Mm,
I just kind of became more confident in who I am. I was someone who, similar to again what I saw in your book, kind of the yes person. Like even if I felt tired, I would still be like, oh yes, I'll go with my friend, because I didn't want to disappoint them.
mm,
But now, because, and it's not to say I don't care about people and what they think, but because I'm more confident in myself to be like, hey, I know that I feel tired today or whatever the reason is. And I'll be honest and I'll say, hey, I'm tired today. Can we meet up another time? Blah, blah, blah. Whereas before I'd be like, yes, I need to do that.
yeah.
So I think that's a big thing. But also, so I guess because of the confidence I have now and just being so sure of myself, I realize, hey, as corny as it may sound, I am my best friend. And
Doesn't sound
I am
corny.
the person that I need to really look out for and take care of versus needing that from someone else, which is what I kind of placed in before. And I guess just not chasing things. Because before, even with friends, I would wonder, oh my God, why didn't they this? Why didn't they that? Whatever. Like just even platonic friends, romantic relationships too. But now I guess I don't get as attached. Not to say I never do. I mean, things still bother me and everything. But in comparison to before, it's much easier for me to just, you know, flick things off in that
Mm.
sense. And even if it bothered me, it's like, hey, I still have me. And so that has been very like huge for me because trust me, this is not me, wasn't me before. Things would just bother me so much. So now I love being home. And I was thinking about when I used to go out and I still go out, I still enjoy going out of youth, but a lot of times I go out and then and I guess I just now value so much more intimacy with people, whether it's the one-on-one talking or doing something simple. It could be a picnic, it could be whatever. Because before I was the person who was, oh my gosh, people called me a social butterfly, a socialite, whatever, because I would go to all these upscale events. And quite frankly, I loved it. I was like, oh my God, I'm getting invited to these cool things. And now, honestly, when I go to them, I kind of get the ick, because I'm like, a lot of times it's just superficial people. You see the
Yeah.
same people. Oh, so nice to see you, but it never goes anywhere deeper.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you. I
And now
hear
when I
you.
get home, I'm like, why did I leave? So I don't know if that really answered your question, though, in
No,
terms of,
it
okay,
totally does. And it's completely fun. What I love often about these kinds of conversations that I have for the podcast is that we always end up going off on complete tangents and then literally forgetting what the question is. So please don't worry about that. But there's always something else that comes up that I then end up wanting to ask you about. And in this case, I
okay,
want to just go back to what you said about the pandemic. It sounds in some ways that we've had quite similar stories over the
okay,
last 4 or 5 years. Because for me, it was lockdown that started the change in my life for reasons I
yeah,
won't bore you with.
yeah,
But it sounds like you have been on a bit of a journey of personal growth and development.
yes,
And I'd love to know, what was it that changed in you? What happened at that time that enabled you to essentially change your mindset? Because, like me, it sounds like you've really shifted the way that you think about yourself and you think about other people and you think about life. Can you
yes.
speak to that a little bit?
In a big way, like yeah, because quite frankly, it's not just even in dating that I noticed the change, which you would get because it's, as you say, it's like a big shift in general. I think it's just one thing kind of led to another in terms of a domino effect. Before, when I had a more 9 to 5 job, plus I was trying to grow my content creation business on the side, and plus I was still going out and I was still trying to, hang out with friends and still date, and I was trying to do all these things. I honestly felt very exhausted.
Mm,
I was like, oh my gosh, when do I relax? So I think COVID allowed me to slow down.
yeah.
And then it kind of made me just kind of look within what is important. And within 2 years of the pandemic, I also quit my job because I realized it was just not for me overall. There were just certain things. And quite frankly, even my boss quit a few months after I left. So many people, I think people are just, valuing things differently.
Yeah.
And then from there, yeah, I think it's just kind of made me just question everything about who really am I? What is really important? I mean, I even distanced myself from friends that I had before. Like I just didn't feel like we were aligned like we were before.
Mm,
And just the people, the sort of people that I let in now is also very different to before. And even my hair, like I'd cut my hair was long, it was straight. I was like, hey, I want to go back to my roots, literally,
mm.
went natural. So it's just so many things. I'm
Yeah.
like, looking at myself from then, it's like so many things have changed.
Yeah.
Um,
It
yeah.
sounds like you've had a bit of an awakening in the same way that I did.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like, whoa, because so many things I'm like, almost like, who is this person? Even under my brother, who I'm very close with, he's like, wow, because before, as I said, I wanted to go out all the time and all these things. And now I'm like, I'm just happy to be home in my pajamas, maybe making my coffee, watching a TV show. I still get happiness from going out, but it's just in a different way.
Thank you for going into that. I find it really interesting. And again, I feel like there are quite a lot of parallels in the two of us over the last 4 or 5 years, which is really interesting. And I think yeah, COVID for a lot of people because we all finally, for me, it was the first time in my entire adult life when I'd had a chance to
Yeah.
actually stop and go, hang on a minute, what do I want? And
Yes.
actually, it just highlighted for me the things that I knew in my heart I no longer wanted and the things that I was no longer willing to tolerate. But thank you for sharing that. Now,
Oh, yeah.
one thing I'd love to talk to you about is friendship, because
Okay.
friendship is something that I've been talking about quite a bit recently. I have a membership called Thrive Solo for membership for single women, and I saw that you posted something on Instagram where there was a trend, wasn't there? I've forgotten what it was. It's that I'm not ashamed to admit,
Right. Yes,
like,
yes, yes.
yeah. And
Right.
you
Yes.
said, I'm not ashamed to admit that I don't have many close friends. And you said
True.
that making new friends feels harder than ever. And I'd love to hear your take on this, or I'd love you to speak to this because I cannot tell you how many conversations I've had recently, whether actual conversations or in the
Yeah.
WhatsApp chat in Thrive Solo, but women, single women, one
Yes.
thing that they're struggling with is friendship. And I
Yes.
wonder whether it's a single woman thing or whether it's just an adult thing. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Right. I guess overall, I do think that I think it's in general thing right now where in general people just seem, for so whatever reason, they are, I guess maybe the start of the digital age, maybe where people are just always on their phones. I'm sure there's many different reasons because even in the dating sphere, I find that people are also, it's just harder to connect with people. Like people talk about, oh my God, I want this, I want this, I want this in a person. I want that connection, but then they find reasons for it not to work or whatever. But in terms of friendship, I mean, I think it's difficult for many different reasons. Just even from seeing some friends where maybe they got married and then now, or even not married, maybe they just have a partner and they now have a child. We were close before, like I could think of one in particular right now. And then, we would still get together, but then over time, it just naturally kind of shifted where we
Mm,
don't see each other or talk as much as her priorities changed.
mm,
I don't know if my situation might even be location specific because I know in Miami, there's always things happening. There's always, the next thing happening, and people might value things differently here. But I know, for example, just thinking of recently when I went to a media event and I met someone there and it's really connected. She lived even close by. We're like, oh my God, we live so close. We're also single, and we're like, hey, we should hang out sometime. But then what she wanted to do was to go to events and she's sending me these, ooh, penthouse thing and whatever. And I'm like, whatever, been there, done that. I don't, I just, so I even said to her, hey, what if we just met for coffee?
what about a
You know,
walk along the beach?
yeah, exactly. I was like, even drinks, whatever. But then she just thumbs up. And then that was the last time I heard from her. So that's one reason I found just people not wanting to have genuine friendships.
Mm,
Um, and then there was someone that I even had reconnected with, from years ago. We lost touch and we reconnected. I was excited. I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. We have a similar background in terms of the Caribbean and all these things. We also want to, into content creation. So a lot of times we would get together and sometimes we would film or we'd just do things together. But then I realized that when I tried to deepen the friendship, like say, hey, maybe we should get together when it's not like content related or whatever, then there was kind of this hesitance.
yeah.
So for me, it's just me really finding people who want a genuine friendship. For some reason, it's not very easy for me to find that.
You are definitely not alone. Honestly,
Yeah.
I really think that this is something that perhaps isn't talked about enough because I know other women who are having the same struggle. Myself included. It's so cringe though, isn't it? Because it's basically like you've got to put yourself out there. And it's almost like you want to, if you, when you really like someone and you think, oh my God, this is my kind of person, you kind of want to say, will you be my friend? But that,
Right.
like, you know, you feel like such a dick. And actually, I
Right.
mean, but this, do you know what? Going back to self-validation, this is a classic example. This, the friendship thing for single women, this is a classic example of where, much the same as dating, it's like you cannot take offense when someone doesn't want
Exactly.
to be your friend. It's not
Yes.
about you, it's about them.
Right.
And I
Right.
think we all have to realize and really sort of toughen up in that
Oh
respect.
yeah.
Toughen up in as
Yeah.
much as we have to just accept it. If someone, because at the end of the day, it's like you're talking about, you know, you don't chase anymore. And I'm the same. I don't chase friendships. I don't chase
Right.
guys anymore. It's like
Right.
if someone is meant to be in my life, then it will feel effortless.
Exactly.
We will gravitate towards each other, and
Exactly.
you know, there won't be any kind of forcing. And so I think that's a really, again, it comes back to, in the same way that if you get ghosted by a guy, you have to be able to go, this does not reflect on my self-worth. But I think we so often struggle, don't we, to not allow it to affect us and feel like, oh
Right.
my God, what's wrong with me? This is,
Right.
nobody wants to be my
Right.
friend.
Right.
But even the
Yeah.
coolest people have this problem.
Right. Right. I guess for me, with it's more puzzling. Like for example, with certain people that, for example, I guess they try to seem genuine or whatever, and then you realize that it's not real, and it's like, I don't know, it's just, I guess sometimes it's just kind of puzzling, I guess, as to what is it that they want or whatever. And one thing I guess that I personally roll my eyes, which probably I'm probably, I don't know, I might be the exception in terms of women in this way, because a lot of the women friends that I find who try to seem like, oh my God, we're such good friends or whatever, they do all the kissy emojis, oh hey hon, hey baby, whatever, blah blah blah, but then it's just not real, It's just kind
Yeah.
of cute to say it,
Yeah.
but it's not really like actual friendship affection that they have for you. At least for
Yeah.
me, that has been my experience.
Yeah,
So
I totally relate. I really do think this is such an interesting conversation. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of women listening to this kind of nodding along, going, oh my God, I totally relate to this. Because I
yeah.
do think it is just because of course, when you're single, you know, ultimately, if you get married and have kids, then there is kind of like a built-in community because you know, I've got so many friends who have become really good friends with women who they met when they had their babies
Oh
and
yeah,
women who they've
definitely.
met at the school
Yes.
gates. It really is
Yes.
like this sort of inbuilt community. Whereas when you're
No,
single, you
it's
don't
true.
have that kind of
It's
inbuilt
true.
community. So I think we
It's
have to
true.
make more of an effort. Have you heard of Mel Robbins?
Oh yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
she
Yeah.
talks brilliantly about this in, well, she talks about it on her podcast, she talks about it on Instagram. She also she does a chapter on this in the Let Them Theory, her new book, and
Oh
she
yeah.
talks about it so brilliant. And I love what she says, which is ultimately we have to keep putting ourselves out there. We have to keep showing up. And it's the way that I think about podcast guests, right? I've had a
Uh-huh.
podcast for 3.5 years. People have no idea how much work it is finding guests every single week, right? The number of emails
I
that I
believe it.
send and I will
Yes.
get no response. The number of messages I
Right.
send on Instagram, I'll get no response. So it's kind of
Yes.
like that, where for a while now, I sort of say to myself, you know what? For every 100 emails I get, I'm going to expect 99 no's and one yes. And
True.
that's absolutely
True.
fine. And I think we've got to
True.
think about friends in that way too. It's like, they're
True.
not going to
True.
be
True.
interested.
True.
Okay, they're not interested. But you know, if I keep showing up and I keep putting myself
Yes.
out there, because it does
Yes.
require effort, right?
That's true. That's true. All those things, whether friends, dating, whatever, it definitely requires effort and being willing to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And just as you were saying, in terms of, when you become a mom, that you kind of become part of this type of community. Because I could think of my sister too, where she became a mom, and then yeah, she literally formed a mom friend group where they'd have lunch and stuff together. And I know she joined a Facebook group as well too initially because so they could just kind of talk about the same things that they're going through and stuff like that. And so yeah, it's definitely like that. And similar to single women, as you said, we definitely have a lot of things in common too. So
Yeah.
like the mom, so we could definitely connect in that way.
Yeah, totally.
But it's not
Now,
always easy.
speaking of mums, I'd love you to tell us a little bit about this side of, you know, being single and not having kids, because obviously you are single and you don't have kids, same as me.
Right.
How do you feel about that? I mean, you mentioned at the very beginning that you thought you were going to have that life.
Right.
So talk to me a little bit about that. Did you always want to have kids?
So, so I mean, I grew up in the Caribbean, which is very traditional for the most part. And I mean, I just kind of, naturally saw myself that way. That's my parents, that's all of my cousins. I mean, and it was kind of funny even thinking about dating because when I was younger, and I mean, my cousins were like 10 plus years older than me, they would go to college, university, and they would met someone there. They got married within a year when they came back, when they graduated, like literally so many of them. And I was like, wow, okay, that's what happens. Okay. And then they have kids. So I just kind of naturally thought that was going to happen. So then, for example, when I got married,
Sorry to interrupt, but how old were you when you got married?
I was 30 years old. And that's another thing too. Kind of when I was leading up to that time and my friends were getting engaged and married, all this stuff. And actually, I'll tell you something. So there were some friends of mine who actually are still friends of mine now, which we met in our 20s, still friends now, but they don't live here. And I remember all three of us were like, gosh, everybody's getting married and engaged, da, da, da. And we made a pact basically saying, in a year from now, we want to be engaged. Yes.
Wow.
A year from then, we were all engaged. We were all engaged. One of them did not end up marrying her person. It was actually a bad experience, and it was a bad experience for me too. But one out of the three still married and has two kids. But I think, yeah, we kind of put it out there. But then I guess we kind of, two of us kind of didn't choose right. But we kind of definitely felt that pressure of, oh my God, we're going to turn 30. We need to, tick tock, tick tock.
Seems so
So
young now, doesn't it? It's like,
I
God
mean, you may think about
mercy.
it now, yes, but that's
Jesus.
literally how we were feeling because everybody else was getting
Yeah.
it. And people are telling us you're getting old, you're going to be 30, da, da, da. So then when I got married to my now ex-husband, I definitely naturally thought, okay, yeah, when things were good, I pictured like, oh yeah, we're going to have kids. But then when things were at a point where I literally thought, okay, I couldn't or wouldn't want to see us having kids, that was kind of my moment where it's like, okay, yeah, I need to end this. But I was still different to a lot of my girlfriends, I would say, even then and now, in the sense that I just kind of thought, yeah, that's just the natural thing. That's what I saw. But I was never one of my friends where it's like, oh my God, I need to have a child. If I am this age and I don't have a child, I'm going to have it on my own, which many of my friends were like that. One of my friends spent so much money, trying to get pregnant. So I've had a bunch of friends like that. So in that way, I kind of distinguish myself in terms of it was not like I needed to have it. So I don't feel like I'm missing on something overall,
Hmm.
but I will say that there have been moments in between where, it kind of caught me by surprise, where maybe I was walking somewhere and I saw this mother with her child. And then first I'm walking to go to the grocery store. And all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, why am I feeling this,
Mm.
Or just thinking I am 44. And although I guess I haven't seen those changes yet, but I do know that naturally the chances are less. So just knowing that reality,
Mm.
I've had moments where I have grieved thinking that opportunity won't even be there at some point if I wanted it.
Yeah.
So that has been my, I guess, kind of complex, nuanced way of feeling
I
about
was
it.
just going to say it's so nuanced, this topic, isn't
Yeah.
it? I mean, for some women it's not. For some women it's very straightforward. But for many of us, myself included, it's so not black and white. There are so many,
Yeah.
because I resonate with what you were saying about the kind of the grief. It's like, but you weren't one of those girls going, I've got to have a baby
Right.
no matter
Right.
what. But actually,
Right.
and
Right.
let me ask you, because most of my listeners will know that I was never broody until I hit my 40s. And suddenly it was
Mhm.
like, bam, I was like broody fucking central. And I was like, oh my God, this is the feeling that everyone's been talking about that I just couldn't relate to. And suddenly I've got it like in my kind of gut,
Right.
visceral feeling. And I still get it from time to time.
Yeah.
Did you feel physically broody like the whole time? Have you ever, or tell me about that? Because for me, it was like, it almost felt like it was overnight. Like
Mhm.
I'd never felt a physical feeling of like, oh my
Yes.
God, I want a baby. And then
Right.
it was almost like overnight, something inside me changed. I think it's
Right.
called hormones. I think it's called your body screaming at you. And
I
suddenly
think
I was
so.
like, right.
The only physical feeling I could think of is just more of a feeling of just sadness, just
Yeah.
thinking. that, wow, if I wanted to be a mom, I'm probably not going to be a mom.
Mm,
But overall, I don't feel like I need to. But then there's
mm.
definitely that part where it's like, yeah, one of my past bosses definitely said to me that when she was in her 40s, she said all of her life she knew she didn't want to have kids. But then in her 40s, for some reason, she was just shocked at how she started to just feel like, oh my gosh, should I have a child? Do I want a child? Da, da, da. And it kind of made me think that maybe biologically, I guess your body's kind of like, hey, if you want it, now is the time. We're closing up shop soon. But
It's
the thing is,
complicated, isn't it? It's
right.
yeah.
But what I would say, because I know that I also I just started a YouTube page like earlier in the year. I haven't really posted much there, but my first video was basically saying, I'm 44, I'm single, and I have no kids. And I was talking about being happy. And then there was a guy, maybe at least one guy, who was like, oh, I hate seeing videos like these because can a woman really be happy without having these things? Because I guess he was trying to say that we're fooling ourselves and thinking that we're happy, you know. But what I will say, so kids is not something that I felt like I need, as I said. But if you ask me in comparison with being single, I would say that while I would like to be with someone, it is not a focus of mine. And it's just, and I don't feel like a void. I don't feel a void like, I mean, I really do feel happy that there's so many positives. I could just have my peace. I do not envy when I hear mothers and stuff talking about, oh my God, they haven't slept and all these different things. And yeah, I don't think it's an easy yes or no for me, but
Yeah,
if
I totally hear you. I've talked about this before on the podcast that it's like a duality, isn't it? It's possible to be genuinely happy, single and child free, but also still have a part of you that would love to be in a relationship and kind of
right.
grieves not having kids. It's like it's
Yeah,
just not that simple. It's not again, it's
exactly.
not black and white,
Yes. Yes.
you
I know
know.
what I will add to that as I remembered, because I know on my Instagram post where I talk about that. And then it was kind of funny when people ask me or DM me, like, well, if you could be in a relationship, would you? And I'm like, well, yeah. It's not like I'm saying, oh my God, I don't want to be in a relationship, but it's also not something I think about. I
Yeah.
mean, literally about a month ago was literally the first time I went on a date in a year because it literally wasn't something I prioritized. I mean, some people have asked me to go out. Sometimes I'm just like, "Ah, I'm not interested in that person, but this person seemed, interesting. So it's like, hey, why not? And I just was at that, mindset was like, sure, And unlike myself, because that's something I used to do before, I might try to put pressure on it and think about all these things, whatever. But it's like, whatever, I'll go enjoy some good company and come home.
Do you know,
Uh,
I love what you said about how you just don't think about it. And going back to what that guy said, the guy that you saw, was it someone on the internet who said,
yeah, he
you two are
commented on
not
my
keen?
post.
Right.
Yeah,
So, and I think there's, I mean, I have definitely had experience
I'm
of
sure.
guys telling me that, stop kidding yourself, love. You might be fooling yourself, but you're not fooling anyone else. And I'm like,
Yes, yes,
okay, if you say so.
yes,
But this is
yes.
what's so funny because in exactly the same way as you, it's like, despite the fact that I have a podcast about being single and I think about being single all the time because it's effectively my
Well,
work,
sure. Yes,
but
yes.
apart from that, I never think about the fact that I'm single in terms of being in a relationship. And you also said you don't prioritize it. And I think this is what I am so passionate about single women aiming to get to this point, even if they end up in a relationship. But where we want to be isn't like, oh my God, I got to get the guy. Where we
Yeah,
want to be is, nah, if it happens, great. If it doesn't happen,
yes,
great. I'm fine either way. And actually, I'm not really thinking about it because I'm just too busy living my goddamn
yes,
life. And it makes me laugh
yes,
when particularly guys assume
yes,
that it's all we fucking think about. Like single women,
yes.
all single women think about is
I
getting into a
know.
relationship. It's
I
like,
know. I
no,
know. They find it. Yeah.
yeah,
I find it so mind-boggling, I guess,
yeah,
that
it's wild.
must be lying. It's not true.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
totally.
Yeah, but it's true. I mean, and I think Something else, because you were asking me earlier, I guess kind of the shift and everything, and I guess my brain is still processing, thinking of things. And I guess one thing I thought of too related to that is in comparison to before, now I just really enjoy, the simple things. I look forward to like my morning coffee. I love just taking a walk and enjoying nature. Um, yeah, and I just enjoy and cherish, the people close to me. And yeah, it's just really enjoying just, I guess, being present and being in the moment versus thinking or focusing on, I guess, what's not there.
You make so
I
much
think
sense.
that's really a big thing. Yeah.
Completely. I really resonate so much with what you just said there. And you mentioned earlier, you said that you choose happiness and you choose joy. And I feel like I do the same. I didn't used to. I used to be a real pessimist. I used to be really cynical about life and love and never, well, I'm still a bit cynical about love, but hey, that's another, anyway. Um, but it's just, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this because I have talked about this multiple times. It's like, we get to choose. Ultimately, we get to choose. And it takes work to train
Yeah.
your brain, literally
Yeah.
train your brain to start seeing life through a more positive lens. But
It's
boy, is it
true.
possible. And ultimately, you're so right to say that you choose happiness, you
Yeah.
choose peace, you choose joy.
Yes.
Speak to me a
Yeah.
little bit about this because I love this topic. Because ultimately, I think
Yeah.
just to add, I love having these kinds of conversations because it brings me deep joy to think about my life now and
Yeah.
how it really is, in many ways, so simple and so peaceful. But I fucking love that. Because, like
Yes.
you just said, like one of the keys to life is being able to find the joy in the daily things, the simple
Yes.
things,
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
isn't it?
Yes. Yes. I mean, the things that could just excite me is like, wow, okay. I mean,
Like a
but simple.
butterfly or
I mean,
something.
yeah. I mean, I think it's it's a lot of different things. Because I mean, hey, life is not always easy. There's so many things happening. I mean, my gosh, there could be just something bad that happened to me, but some people won't even necessarily know unless they ask, because I just choose to just focus on something simple. Or I know that there's certain things that make me happy. I know some people talk about, hey, creating a joy list. I don't have an official joy list, but I do know certain things that make me happy. And so if I am maybe not feeling the best, I know that these are certain things that are going to make me happy. And it's more, I guess, also just kind of focusing on the positive things. Not that you're going to neglect reality, but being focusing and just being grateful and thankful for the positive things that you do have that are going right.
Mm.
And then I think just doing that kind of helps you to just see the actual positive things that happen. Because you could be around somebody and all they see is just negative, negative, negative. Um,
Yeah.
so I that's one thing I would say that is helpful, just kind of being grateful and just being open to seeing the beautiful things. And then what I think helps me in terms of being happy is having a routine and just looking forward to certain things. So, for example, I got an espresso machine last year, and that's one of the things I look forward to every morning. It's like a coffee maker. And just, I mean, and quite frankly, it just allows me to slow down,
Yeah.
in that moment and just literally, it's just looking at the coffee coming out and smelling it and, just even the sound it makes as it does it. I mean, it's so simple and like whatever. And it's something I just haven't gotten tired of hearing. Even before you were called today, and I was having a delivery of a restock of my pods for my Nespresso. And how happy it came before because I was like, oh my God, I don't want to have to buzz them in while we're talking. And I was excited. I was like, oh my God, it's like Christmas. So yeah, so it's just honestly those little moments of joy that for me, so simple, but they make me happy.
Yeah.
Or my favorite TV shows, I know, oh, this day, which probably might be kind of interesting, but a show that I really love is called Dexter. I don't know if
Oh,
you even know.
yes. Yeah, because it's based
Yes.
in Miami.
Yes, that's true. Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah. Oh my
And
God, I watched that
so
years
that's
ago. I loved it.
I'm obsessed. I mean,
It's so
they
good.
re they recently rebooted it. Just started a few weeks ago, and they have done a really great job so far. So that's one thing, so just stuff like that I look forward to. I know this night it's going to be this, and it's going to be that. Also just knowing that I'm going to talk with some of my family members. It's just having, I guess, it's a mixture of things. You have a little support system, whether it's, a family member, a friend, but also, yeah, just having those things of joy that you look forward to, being grateful, trying to see the good in things,
Yeah.
and having something to look forward to. I think having something to look forward to is also a big thing as well.
Now, speaking of that, I just wanted to ask you about solo dates. It's something I've seen you talk about
Oh,
on Instagram
yes.
and do. So you are clearly somebody who likes taking yourself on
I
solo
love
dates.
them.
Tell us
Yeah.
about this.
Oh, yes. And I always like to talk about before, because before I would feel weird and awkward being out in public. Oh my goodness. But then I just kind of grew to be like, whatever. Also, I used to want to wait on people. Before I would maybe have the opportunity to do XYZ. And the first thing I would think is, gosh, I wish I had a guy I could do this with. Or, I wonder if this friend would be available. But definitely number one was more about, gosh, this would be such a nice experience with a guy. So I just kind of got over that and was like, why am I going to wait? Why wait? I could still enjoy it and have a good time in myself. And even up to last week, I did something that was so fun. I went to this pizza class. It was such a blast. I was the only, maybe I might have even been the only person by themselves. There was definitely a couple there. There were two friends there. Yeah, honestly, I think I might have been the only person that was by myself. But I loved it. It was such a great time. And I even want to do it again because it was so fun. And then even the week before that, I somewhat afraid of heights. And I remember being invited to go on this Ferris wheel that's over 200 feet high. And
Ugh.
for months, I put it off. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to do it. That's so scary. What if it breaks? What if it falls? I don't know, whatever. But I did it, and I did it alone. And it was nice, and it's something I just did for myself. I faced my fear on my own, and something about it is just very empowering, to know that you could do that on your own and just not feel like you always need to have someone be there. And it's just interesting where people associate, which I also remember reading in your book, where people often associate that because you're alone, that you are lonely.
Yeah.
And that's actually a
Classic.
series I'm going to do. I'm going to actually do a series, something related to alone. Alone is not lonely, because I'm just kind of showing how it could be fun to just do things on your own, because
Yeah.
it is.
Totally. What do you have any recommendations for like your kind of top three solo dates that you'd recommend women tried out?
Okay, so definitely the pizza class, and it's nice too that there were also other people that were there
Mm.
and you could interact with them, and just the whole thing about it. I love that experience and seeing it come together. Maybe it could be a candle making class, but also even just going out to dinner, treat yourself to a nice dinner.
This is
Um,
one thing that so
yeah,
many single women feel really awkward and uncomfortable about.
I get it. I get it. And I used to. But the funny thing about it too is when I go to the restaurant, even though I would already have the reservation too, and I go to the check-in at the hostess, and every time without fail, just you. And I'm
Ugh.
like, yes, just me. Every time. And then even when I sit down and I guess no, the server is there, just you? Yes, just me. Because it's so, I guess, unusual,
I
And
think
so
we need to design a t-shirt saying, yes,
yeah,
just
just
it's just me.
seriously, seriously, that's perfect, because
I'm going to
all of
copyright that. Nobody steal it. I'm going to do that.
yeah, 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 yeah. But I think, just doing it, maybe it might feel awkward at first. Maybe even to kind of get used to doing it, maybe sit at the bar, maybe at first, and maybe that can help be able to move to an actual table. But quite frankly, I do like the idea of being at a bar too, if you actually want to be open to maybe meeting someone, if, that could be something I might feel a little less awkward. But I typically just go to an actual table.
Yeah. And you enjoy that.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And I know some people might look whatever, but that's the thing. I don't care. It's like whatever.
And
I'm
also
here.
I think you have to own it. Like and also
Yeah,
when you are comfortable in your own skin,
that's
you
it.
can
Yes.
sit in a restaurant and if people are
Yes.
looking, fuck them.
Yes.
You're just I love talking about energy and I think somebody's energy is everything. Like
Yes.
people just have a vibe, and that's either a
Yes.
good vibe or a not good
That's
vibe.
true.
And if
100%.
somebody sees a happily single girl sitting there
Yes.
having dinner, even
Yes.
if they raise their eyebrows, they can tell if
Yes.
if she's like owning it. And I think there's
Yes.
so much power in that because
That's true.
also there are a lot of people who wouldn't dream of doing that. They would not have the
Oh
guts
no.
to do that.
Oh no. They would find it weird. They would, I
Yeah.
know that some friends that I have, they also, they were like, oh no, I would not want to do that. They just can't fathom going on their own.
Yeah.
Uh, But no, quite frankly, I look forward to them, doing movies together as well. And yeah, a lot of times if I look around, there's definitely mostly couples or friends that are there, but it's nice. It's just peaceful. And that's the thing you mentioned earlier, peace. I think that's a big thing. It's just peace. I like, in terms of how I choose my friends, I want peace. I don't want any toxicity. In terms of just being at home and just enjoying my time. And I love it. Simple and peaceful.
100%. Camille Natalie, it has been a joy to speak to you. Can I ask you one more question before we wrap
Of
up?
course.
What does it mean to you to thrive solo?
Huh, great question. To me, it means it's a joy, especially when you can get to the point of fully embracing it. I think the biggest thing is embracing it because I know some people, they see it as a negative, but quite frankly, which I've actually said to my community is it's actually a privilege to be solo and to actually be able to do things as you want to do. You don't have to think about anyone. You can do it how you want. So quite frankly, it's empowering. It's empowering and I embrace it fully.
Yeah, I love that. Camille, thank you so much for your time. There are so many other questions that I had noted down to ask you. I haven't touched hardly any of
The
them.
time flew by. It really did.
It really did. It really
No,
did.
it really did.
Absolutely. Now, how can people find you and follow you and potentially work with you? Can you just tell them everything that they need to know? And I'll also put it in the show notes.
Okay, awesome. So my handles on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok are all Camille X Natalie, or you can just search for me as Camille Natalie. And also there will also be a link if you wanted to work with me, help you with your social media, especially Instagram. And I can also send you those links too if you want. But
Fabulous.
yeah, so that's how you can find me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for your time. It's been a joy.
Thank you. It's been really nice talking with you.
You're welcome.